all these agricultural practices, maybe before Harappan civilization there has been some agricultural uh, production also, but that are not fully documented because our ancient texts, they are not completely revived, but the text which is available now, from that sources we can say that agricultural practices can be seen from the Harappan civilization. I In the last lecture I told about Indus Valley civilization, Harappan civilization, they are the first civilization, noted civilization. And in some rhymes of Rigved also, it has been written record about the agricultural practices. Like it was in Vedic eras also, I already told. But what was the tools? What was the method? They are completely and very precisely documented in after the Indus Valley civilization. So historians believe that rice and cotton were the major crops of ancient India, and they were like even grown in the populace of Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization, that was the ancient civilization. Why cotton and rice? I already told that rice needs water, so majorly at that time, growing any crop completely dependent on the climate. Nowadays we have our like rainwater harvesting is there, we can store water, we have ample amount of amenities to cultivate. We have this like in house also, we grow some vegetables and fruits. Now everyone have some small kitchen garden at their own homeland or home place. Everyone has small farm nowadays because everyone is interested. At that time it was not, it was the basic necessity only. So some archaeologists also claim that the practice of agriculture became somewhat like during 9000 BC, and at that time most of the civilization was for domestication of animals. After getting settled and living the life of nomads behind, like early man's cave people, new techniques developed, and there was the arrival of monsoon twice year proved at that time. Now the seasons have also changed because of global warming. There's a major effect of global warming on the change of climate. Earlier in earlier times it was very pleasant. So there was the climate allowed once this cultivation and everything started, India became an exporter of crops with neighboring countries, and plants and animals were taken as sacred. I told in previous one of my lecture that these indigenous people, they always worship trees, they worshipped animals. Even when they sown any crop, it was like a blessing for them. Not every crop gave, they were like fruit bearing. Sometimes the climate was not favorable, and sometimes there was not the resources, water level was low. So before sowing or after the harvesting, they always worship their native gods, their local gods. They always connected with the environment, they always thanked the nature. This is how they connected with their environment. Once we are thankful to Mother Earth, because everything we get from Earth. So once we are thankful, we feel connected. There is a soul connection with our environment. So now we are not thankful, we just take everything for granted because everything is very easily available for us. We are not just going to some land and we are not plowing, we are not sowing, we are not harvesting everything. We are just going to the supermarket and we are getting everything. But our grandparents, great grandparents, our family history, everyone have farmers in their family. They know, they have this complete knowledge about agriculture, what was the challenges at that time. And family livelihood completely depended on agriculture at that time. So Now, the main key for agriculture, the main soul of agriculture are our farmers. The like origin of Indian farmers, there's a tradition and practice, and this has been lived from early Aryan settlement. These practices were needed once the pastoral group settled down to regular civilization of crop. Like the farmers worked when they had little knowledge about what to grow and what was needed for their survival. This is also mentioned in Rig Ved, Atharvaved. These are documented why farmers are very important. There is a Sanskrit saying that agriculture is a very divine skill taught by sages to farmers for sustenance of life. It shows the very high regard for farmers in the society. The farmers were the annadata. Annadata means ann means food and data is giver. So the provider of food. Farmers were very important. Now there were there were different methods also, because irrigation, what is irrigation? We understand irrigation as continuous watering the some plant or some crop. There should be a continuous cycle to make them moist also, get them proper nutrients also, and irrigation is completely based on water. Why we need irrigation? Because without water any crop can't go. So there were the traditional methods. First, if you can see, there is dhekli. Um okay at that time in wait, in ancient times, not every land used to have some pond or river, but well was this, well. Okay, well was available, but every family doesn't have their personal well. So a huge land was being prepared, and if there is one well, the well is there, but to just pump out the water, this wooden machine was made. It has a stand, and there on one side rock was to just give it weight, and the another side there was a rope and a bucket. It's old technique. So it was done manually every time. Like they can't pump a whole water out, there was no pipe system. So bucket by bucket or very small container was drowned in the well, and they have to take water out, and then they have to just irrigate the crop. So it was very difficult task. That thing was called dekli, and in my village it is called dekua. It's a different term. Then there was chain pump. There was little evolution. Then this chain, it has small buckets all around the wheel, and the water level was not that below. So it used to just bucket by bucket water comes, and there was a ramp kind of thing. So they made little canal, very slight thin canal, just to connect the well to the land where the crops were sown, and by this the water was transferred. Then there was a pulley system. Again, from the well, there was a wheel and rope, and it was done manually. The bucket was dipped, and the other person has to pull the rope, and then the bucket came out. So this was the pulley system. And there was this lever system. It was basically it is a chain pump only, but the lever was used to be rotated with the help of animals. Okay, So after these irrigation methods, there was like to implement this operation. There was a sequence of a sequence of agriculture operations. It was like land preparation, sowing, weeding, irrigation, harvesting, um, then post harvesting operations, then transportation. How the soils were prepared, like land preparation was the first step in indigenous agricultural system. All the variety of crops, they have to be land prepared, they have to be adequate, including like the lands were cleaned, the weeds were removed, then it was leveled. This was how the soil was prepared for the plant to germinate and grow. Then the plowing was done. It was done weeks before, like sowing any seed at regular interval of time. Then there was this sowing. After the land was prepared, the seeds were sown. Like putting seeds in soil is called sowing. But in indigenous method, the selection of seeds were very important, because at that time water was not easily available. So they sown that kind of crops which required less water, or that can be not much affected by the rain or by the climate. So that time, like environment friendly crops were grown. Now we are switching towards millets. In Hindi we call it mota anaj. Now it is very beneficial. Now it comes under exotic food, because now production is less and they have very much like nutritional properties. They help in reducing blood sugar, they help in controlling blood pressure, and there are many other nutritional values to these millets. But at that time, because millets require less water, so at that time that was the staple food. Now, because everyone is having a very low immune system, no one, I guess on the planet, like 98% or 99% people have some or the other problem. Some have any allergy, some have any issue, some have some medical issues. So everyone is on a very strict diet, and now doctors recommend to eat these millets because they are very health beneficial. So the sowing was done. Then the manures were now, why we are switching towards organic farming, because putting these manures and fertilizers, they are just affecting the crops. They are depleting their original nutritional value. So why we are switching towards organic farming? It has to be very environment friendly also, and it shouldn't affect the harvesting of the crop. Now the manures, fertilizers are completely um like nature friendly. They are not, none of the chemicals are being sprayed on the crops. Everything which is available, like a waste, that can be decomposed and that can be biofertilized, and then they are being used in the farms, just to have a very healthy harvest. So that time also everything was so fresh, there were no chemicals because factories were not set up. So every animal waste, human waste, or vegetable waste were there. They were all used, as they were all decomposed and collected, dried, and then they were used as manures and fertilizers for the source. And then the crops were very healthy, the productivity was also high at that times, and it improved also, it improved the quality of the crops after this fertilizer, like organic fertilizers and manures. Then I told about irrigation, why it was important. Majorly farmers depend on rain for farming, at present also, no matter how technologically advanced we are nowadays, still farmers completely depends on rain for farming. And in India, the period for rain is completely restricted for 4 months in a year, like from June to September, when the monsoon arrives. So the remaining 8 months are very dry. And they, like in India, nature of rain is very irregular and uncertain. So just to cope up with this climate change and to have availability of water in all seasons to grow the crops, various now, like when we are transitioning towards the modern time, construction of ponds and lakes are being made. There are many man-made lakes, man-made ponds though can be made easily. Now rainwater harvesting is there. Earlier we didn't know to collect the rainwater also, but now, I think, with the construction of any new house, first and foremost the architect tells to have a rainwater harvesting facility at home, so that everyone can have a proper water source. If they want to have a little, like kitchen garden at their place, or they want to just, now we are talking about planting trees. We should plant trees in our environment just to have a very healthy and full of oxygen environment. So where this water is going to come? We can't waste the running water. So if, like, nature is providing water, why can't we store it? Earlier that time it was not a technique developed, and that time irrigation, that's why the irrigation was tough. I told about land preparation, it was all done manually. Tilling and this was the this is a tool, harrow it is called, but it was also a little advanced. At that time only the animals and this wooden techniques were used. Now this is a transitioning, this is also a traditional tool for land preparation. But before that, it was all completely done manually with the help of humans and animals. They collaborated and they just prepared the land. See, all these small partitions were made in the lands. Just, and see, these ladies are, they are just sowing the seeds manually by their hand. Now we have machines. Now we have machines, they just run, they make the partition, they just keep dropping the seeds equally. But in earlier time it was not that easy, because land was huge and the scaling system was not there. So agriculture was advanced at that time, but not in comparison to the present times. The only purpose of agriculture at that time was to provide food. And to have these food, there was no disease control at that time. But they have traditional ways. Locally, cow urine was available, and I told, they connected with the environment. So humans and animals, they work together. So locally cow urine was available. They mixed it with neem solution. Neem, I told, it's a medicine. Neem tree, I told, it has many medicinal properties. So for the agriculture purpose also, the cow urine was mixed with neem solution, which was the pest control solution at that time. They sprayed, they just sprinkled or thrown directly, just to remove the flies on the cotton plants. And this cow urine act as a like biopesticide. Now cow urine is used in even the medicines also, and in ayurveda also. They ask you to have it in some or the other form, because it's healthy. It contains types of salt, iron, like calcium, phosphorus. It have many things. Then marigold flowers were grown between the crops just to protect it from a pest attack. It have very attractive and secret nectar that this marigold attracts the pollinators, all the bees, and that pollinators help in pollination of crops also, because it is very important for the crops to get pollinated, then only the seeds will grow. So this was the all traditional ideas how, and this all came from practice, this all came from experience. This is why we are talking about traditional knowledge, because tradition has some or the other experiences, some or the other experiments done, and they were all done locally. They were not done on a very larger scale. Any family is sowing some or the other local crop. If they find that, yeah, okay, this I'm this sowing this crop in my particular area, and if it's fruitful, then this like local man talks, this thing can be circulated in the whole village area. So all the other families also started sowing the same crop. So it only by the experiment it was proved that okay, this can be done. Now there was okay, in my father told me, because he has a deep knowledge about agriculture. I told he comes from a family background, farmers background. So, and his personal interest is in herbology, and he knows how to grow, though he is a political science professor, but he has knowledge about every sphere. So he told me about a story of Ghag and Bhattari. They were husband wife. They were the first at that time, it's old man's tale. They were the first, I can say they were the farmers also, they were the scientists also. They knew what to grow and where to grow. Like they were around 400 years before, and they knew what is going to happen in future also. They also predicted. Okay, it's the story is all in Hindi, and I can't. Okay, I'll tell that these this couple, they always predicted about the crop production for the years. They were like astrologers also. They knew, they just sensed the soil. They have some connectivity with the nature. They predicted, and they have also written. They wrote poems also about agriculture and irrigation also, and farming also, and harvesting also. So from their poems, whoever has read these Ghag and Gadari poems and writings, they knew what they were trying to explain, and what is the favorable time for like sowing the seeds, or for soil preparation, or what is the time of harvesting, is this crop is going to be fruitful or not. So at that time, these stories, local stories, had a great impact. Wait, I'll type Ghag and Gattari. Ghag and Gattari. Okay. If you get English version of it, then it's fine. Okay. when the harvesting time came, only yeah, at the time of harvesting, it should not be the tools of irrigation, it's harvesting tool. The heading is wrong. Okay. You can see this sickle. This tool is here. It was used for cutting. Now machine cuts the crop, but at that time it was done manually. Ladies used to sit and they used to cut. Then only this knife and sickle were used. It was very tough job. Once the I told rice was the staple food at that time because it was easily sown. So when the rice was harvested with the help of sickle, it was sun dried. It was some of the crop was already dried, and after cutting, it was again sun dried, and there was a board. Board means like there was any platform. They used to what I should say, like we use this. That crops were beaten manually just for the rice to come out of the crop. It was a very very difficult task. And why they grown these crops? Because they have to feed animals also. So all the leftover parts of the crops, that was feeded to animals. So it was a very sustainable practice for them to grow these crops, because they have to feed the animals also. These vegetable There was vegetable seed storage also, that was stored by women folks for their kitchen garden, for securing the seeds. They used to secure the seeds. They tie the knot in their sari is Indian attire. So at one end of the sari, they used to secure some of the seeds. They tie the knot around the end of the sari, or they just put some seeds in white cloth. They just tie it and they just stored it some place safe. Because at the time of drought, or when there was no harvest, those stored seeds were helpful for the family to survive the next season. Not every time the harvest was good. So these were all the household practices that made them their life very sustainable in time of need. Then to store the seed, bamboos were also used. Bamboos doesn't require more water. Till date also, bamboo is used in other things also, like for um, furniture market. Bamboo is very important at that time for storage also, because it's hollow inside. So they used to make jars or other things. From one side they used to block it with something and leaves or anything, and from the other side that whole hollow structure were used for seed storage. It was cut into halves, and it was used to make storage places also, storage structure also, just to store the grains. Now switching towards farmers. If we talk to the local farmers, they have abundance of knowledge about farming. They have not read about it, or they have not studied. I think biotech students also have some or the other knowledge about agriculture. They read something, or BSc students also read. Now we have courses about agricultural practices, but at that time they just have their experience, their work experience. So now government is working for them. But at that time, government was dependent completely. Not the government, like every other person was dependent on the hard works of farmer. Till date also, now we don't acknowledge them completely, but we have to take very careful like regardless of these farmers, that they are so much they have so much importance in the society. Why we exist? Because of their hard work. We get good food, we get um, healthy food just because of their hard work. So whenever I just uh, say to you all that whenever you go to your like, I guess villages are there in Brazil. I'm not much aware of it, but not just to your villages, but if you visit any farm, try to interact with them, try to ask what challenges they are facing. Maybe they are technologically evolved now, but still their life is very very hard, because they work maybe with the machines or anything. They are going into the land, uh, disregard of the climate condition. Farmers, they work tirelessly in the field. They just help us out, help our country's economy to get food available at any cost. So whenever get time, just have interaction with them, so that you get to know what are the challenges, what are their expectations from us, or how they have been living their life. Maybe they can tell you their traditional wisdom. They can share some traditional practices they had. See, conserving is very important. We talk about conservation, nature conservation, environment conservation. We just talk, we don't act. And when there is a significant conversation about these things, we hesitate to participate, because when once we are not practicing these things, there's nothing to tell, there's nothing to discuss. Even when I talk to my parents about how well they knew their roots, how well they know about agriculture, they completely, and they have very clear vision, because they have worked in the farms, they have been in the ground. So they knew how to connect, how to tell, how to explain me about any crop. I just visit any farm, I can't completely differentiate between the crops, because I'm not in a habit to visit the farms. I'm only concerned about the outcome of that crop. I can recognize rice, I can recognize cereals, I can recognize vegetables or fruits, but just by looking to the plant, I can't tell that this plant bear tomatoes, or this plant which type of leafy vegetable is there, because there are abundance and there are varieties of vegetables. But just to give this knowledge to our coming generation, we have to be in touch with the nature, we have to be interactive with the farmers, or we should try to just research and know how whatever we are eating, how it is produced, or how it looks. I don't think every kid of my generation knows how a potato plant looks. So we should try to know what are these plants are. Just give me a second, I'm getting a call.
No problem. My camera is off, but I'm still here. I'm looking for something to show you, by the way.
Okay, so I was just telling, we should take time and we should try to understand how does the crop looks, whatever we get, the food we eat, how does that look. Maybe it's not necessary we go out in the farm only, because everyone is busy. We should just google search it, how the plant looks, so that Whenever we visit a farm or we just have an interaction with the farmers or the vegetable vendors, we should have something to share, because once we know nothing about it, once we are unaware of these things, we are not in a position to talk. Just a second. Give me 2 minutes, please.
Of course.
Okay, I just got a work call. Sorry. So, what I was telling. So now, agriculture is very vast. So I just, why I summed up these things, because this was the basic ways how agriculture was traditionally done. What tools were not more, because everything was done manually. Only sickle was used to harvest. Then the lands were manually prepared. So there's not much to explain about like ancient agriculture of that time, but these methods, it shows that how hard they worked. Now everything is available, technology is available, but just imagine how we have evolved. What is our root? How easily everything was available at one man's hard work cost. We never look back, we never look back and just think out of it, that how we never question how hard they worked, what resources they had. Now we study about organic farming, now we study about different crops, now we study how we have to make our environment sustainable without harming it and have more production. But have we, why this problem came of environment protection? Because now when we are using technology, technology is destructing also. Earlier everything was man made and everything was done manually, because that time farmers, villagers, or the persons, they connected with the environment, they worshipped it, they always tried that nature was not harmed. They didn't have this wide knowledge, but they had this connection with the environment, so they always tried to protect. Why they worship the crops, why they worship the land? Because they knew, if I'm plowing, I'm just harming the earth. Now we keep on drilling, we keep on mining. Now we get these landslides. Why the miners are being accident there's being accidents? Because we are playing with the nature, just in need of getting more and more, we are harming the environment. So traditional practice was difficult, but they had some or the other importance, because they were difficult, but they were eco-friendly, they were sustainable. We just read about their practices, but we are not into complete practice of that, because we need quick result. And for that, just to have a wide production, we spray artificial manures, chemicals to the fruit to just get them more plumbed, just to make them ripe fast. But we don't have time to wait. So we just have to take a step back, and we have to connect, because quick process never sustains last. For anything to work sustainably and for the long run, we have to wait, we have to be patient. whether with the like our lifestyle, or whether with our knowledge. To gain knowledge also, we have to continuously read and practice. If we read today, it's not possible that I'll remember these things a week later also. I have to revise. So for agriculture also, the practices has to be revised. No, it's important to evolve, it's important to have technology into it, but that technology have some setback, that it shouldn't harm the environment, and it should give opportunities to the farmers also. If everything is machine based, farmers are not going to be getting their wages. They will be unemployed. How their families will survive? So that's why we have to be in sync with the traditional knowledge also, and modern techniques also. So this is how we get to know about the traditional agricultural practices. Any questions? So after then we'll discuss. Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm
How do you
I'm
do?
fine.
We don't have practice to think about the past evolutions, mainly in Brazil, okay? And it's fascinating how some of the simplest tools used in agriculture today have such rich histories, especially when you look at ancient civilizations like India. And take the slasher, for example. Oh, and for example, these tools have been around for centuries and have played crucial roles in forming practice all over the world. Okay, and the slasher is a tool that man might overlook, but it's been indispensable for clearing vegetation and managing crops. For example, imagine the dense forests and the wild growth that ancient Indian farmers had to deal with. They needed something robust and effective, and thus the slasher came into being. And it's very important. Uh, Small things that were developed in past. Then this is very interesting, fantastic, amazing.
Thank you so much.
Now compare these ancient tools, for example, to modern agricultural machinery. Today we have tractors, combine harvesters, and advanced irrigation systems uh, that can do the work of hundreds of manual laborers in fraction of the time. But it's important to remember that these sophisticated machines are built on the principles of those very same tools. Okay, the slasher evolved into the brush cutter, the hoe into cultivator, and the pickake into powerful digging machines. And finally, your culture is very amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, very well said. That at that time, now machines do hundreds, thousands of works in a just blink of an eye. But that's what I said. We need to just sit back, sit and just think about the farmers, that how hard they worked without any resources. They were just concerned about the food production for the livelihood of their family, the society. They contributed so much. No one knows who was the famous farmer. Only people remember the revolutionary men who brought some revolutions. But these men worked for their farmers. Any important, there is no list of farmers in our document or any country's documentations, because they were a grand mass, but their work was not acknowledged till date. Now we think about their um well-being, but not on a very small ground. We make policies, we help them so that they can manage their life easily. Now every farmer can't afford these machines, so they have to go and work for some or the other factory, or they have to go and work to someone's farm who can pay them. They can't afford land, their own land, to farm, to have these agricultural practices, because everything now is very very much expensive. Buying land is not easy now. So wherever they that's why the people who have their ancestral home, whether it's in rural area or urban area. In urban area it's not possible, but in rural areas, because landscape is more, and people are still few families only, but they have their religious and traditional practices, that this is how they are conserving this knowledge. So whenever I personally go to my village, it's complete village, it's a very rural area. People have advanced, they have now well constructed homes at villages, but still you can see all these greeneries, the farm, the practices still there. This is how we have conserved our traditional knowledge. And we clearly say in our classes also, whenever we meet new students also, or new generation coming students also, that we should always try to connect with our roots. We should not completely boycott them, or we should not sideline them, that we have been modernized. Evolution is good, but we shouldn't forget our roots. And its life is complete, it revolves in a cycle. If we are having we have seen these problems in COVID times. We were afraid to go to the supermarket. Whatever available things was there in our home, people started organic farming in COVID. They started a small farm at their own home. So why they need this farming, this practices after some calamity comes? Why it should be in our daily practice. And by this also we can conserve nature, we can preserve nature, we can help out. So everything is connected with our environment. And when we talk about any field, it's very important to have our actions sustainable also, and eco-friendly also. So anyone else?
Well, before
Anyone
uh,
can.
before we have any questions from the audience, I would like to make a few comments as well. And you have just touched a very crucial issue about human behavior, which is often we seem to learn only after a great catastrophe has hit. And I mean, we had to face many global crises to understand that the answers to many of these issues were in traditional knowledge. That's one example of that is in agriculture. I mean, nowadays we acknowledge the benefits of organic agriculture, of traditional farming methods, only after much of humanity have suffered with, for example, the effects of pesticides in agriculture and shortage in food supplies and etc. So it's well, it's sad in some way to acknowledge that we as humans seem to learn only after suffering a lot. I think we are seeing that with climate change. I mean, we have had warnings for decades about what was going to happen, and many countries are only acting now or not doing enough, as is the case of Brazil. Recently, we had floods in southern Brazil, and hundreds of people died. And well, we could have done something before. So I think it's something similar with agriculture. And I enjoyed a lot of what you said. I mean, as I said, we all knew these things for a long time, but we as a species only chose to ignore it, or to pretend that there was a problem, or to adhere to easier solutions. As you said, we can go to the supermarket and buy our stuff. And well, I don't have to care where it comes from. I don't have to care the conditions that farmer lived in, and etc. Um, I would like to show you a few pictures as well, but we have a
Oh,
comment here in
wait, I'll just stop sharing. You can share it if.
okay. Alicia said, a symptom of our lack of connection with nature is how many people don't know how to choose their fruits and vegetables. Me, for example, I love pumpkins, but I can't tell which one is good or bad to buy.
Yeah, it is important that we can to do our daily chores also, like buying vegetables, buying fruits, even buying flowers. It's very, we just go and buy flowers and give it to our loved ones just to express our feeling. This is, we just see that this flower is looking nice. Have we ever thought of asking the flower vendor from where did he buy this, or where did he get, in which season these flowers grow, or where, what is the particular place where these flowers are being harvested? Like everyone like roses. How many people know that roses, what is the budding season of rose, how many types of rose are there, how these after drying these rose, or when the rose get dried, how can be it used in other things? We just, when the rose gets dry, we just throw it off.
Yes. And
We
we can
can,
buy another set.
yeah, exactly. So what me and my mom did, my mom helped me. um, in Amarkantak, the flowers grow abundantly. Oh, what is this?
Oh, okay. I do have a few pictures to show you. So these pictures I took um, in a village. This village is,
Okay.
well, all the members of the inhabitants of this village are my relatives.
Oh, nice.
And is in the state of Ceará in northeastern Brazil. It's my mother.
See, these I guess all these cereals are sun dried.
Yes, indeed they are. And can you still see the picture? And I have changed to another window.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So this is a broad bean or faba bean, and
Okay.
it's grown in the region. So we have several varieties. We have white
It
ones.
looks like pumping. It looks like this is red beans.
Yes, indeed, it is. It is.
We say it rajma in Hindi, or kidney beans. It looks like kidney beans, but
Yes,
it's little flattened at your side.
yes. So we have several varieties. So this is white. We have
It looks like
yellow.
pumpkin seeds.
Yes, it looks like, right. It's very good. Tastes very good. Has a very strong taste, but it's really nice.
And see, just back the pic, the previous pic.
This one.
No. That seed. Yeah. Zoom it.
All right. Here.
The container in which the seeds have been put at, this is made with bamboo.
Yeah, it looks like, or some sort of straw. Yeah.
No. This is made from bamboo. It's made in India also,
Oh, okay.
and in Hindi it's called dori.
Dori.
So we we have same thing, but weaving is different, but the
Yeah,
thing is same.
a different technique, but same material.
Yeah, same material. It's made from bamboo.
So, where's the picture I wanted to show you? Oh, it's over there. Wait. So this is a cistern. So there's a lot of cisterns. You see, in every house, they have a cistern to store rainwater. So these are some people. This was my great aunt. As I said, my family, they were all farmers. So she was picking these beans, right? And
Still people know how to collect the seeds, how to just dry them, how to store them.
indeed, I do have pictures about the storage they used. It's great as well. This is just to illustrate their religious fervor. It's this is a straw hat. Well, this is the hat again.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a well. So they also, I mean, it's a worldwide habit. So they would dig these wells to get groundwater. I was very afraid of this well because it was like 20 meters deep. I was afraid of falling on it.
Kids do fall in well.
I think this is pomegranate, right?
Yeah,
Um,
pomegranate.
all right. Chickens, cisterns again. So we have a pipe here, and this pipe was connected to
Yeah.
the
See,
roof.
see the stand on which the pipe is being whole. This is a traditional technique.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's just a piece of wood, but it
indeed,
has this certain shape. That's why it's being used to hold this pipe.
indeed. And as you can see, they were not rich farmers. They were small family farmers, so they had to use
They are
whatever materials they had.
using whatever provided in their nature or in their environment.
Indeed, indeed. So this
This
is
is aloe vera.
yes, indeed. It's used for a lot of medicinal purposes here.
Yeah.
I also remember my grandfather drinking from it in a cup of water when he was hangover. But that's another story.
Aloe vera is very good for digestion also.
Yes,
If you have
yes.
a upset stomach, you just take one spoon of gel and drink it with water.
I think that's
It
why he
helps.
took it. His stomach was complaining. So this is interesting. This is how they still use to
So, yeah.
storage seeds like this inside the plastic bottles.
And instead of throwing these bottles, unrecycled bottles here and just damaging the environment, they have used it
Yes, indeed.
for
And
storage.
because we live in a semi-arid region, so it's almost a desert. So it only rains in a few months of the year. And they also my grandma used to told me to store water inside this bottle. So they would bury the bottles and they will have water for a long time.
Yeah.
This was, I mean, 50, 60 years ago. Now they use the cisterns, and it's much easier today because we have a lot of government programs aimed at dealing with this drought. But 60 years ago, it's not the case. Brazil lived under a military dictatorship, and they simply didn't care. So things are easier right now. It's not easy, but it's easier for sure. So chickens.
Okay.
So this is a small,
Kitchen garden kind of.
yes, small garden they had in the backyard to grow lettuce.
These are garlics.
Yes,
Garlic is there.
and onions. So they all keep these gardens in their backyard to grow things they can have at hand, right?
Everyone should have a very small, wherever, if they don't have a garden space, they can grow it in the pots also. But everyone should practice growing not just the vegetable, they can grow some flowers also, or fruits also. Lemons, it's a small plant. Everyone can plant lemons at their home.
And you can see here they were cooking with firewood.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have these.
This is a mud stove.
Yes.
This is a mud stove.
Yes.
And it's sustainable also.
Indeed. And everybody says here that
The food cooked on these mud stoves, they always have a very earthy and smoky flavor. It will taste better, far better than any grill or what we cook on the cooking gas.
Indeed.
The taste is still.
I think I don't have the pictures here, but these metal pans are not. I mean, they are present everywhere, but people used to cook using clay pans.
Yeah, clay pots are there.
Yes, so it's. I mean,
generally
the taste is divine.
It tastes divine.
It is. It's just wonderful. So cows. I think it was the last one. But yeah, so this is a very common scenery in northeastern Brazil, and I'm very glad I was able to show these pictures to you. It's great. I would not have imagined when I took these pictures 10 years ago I would show this to someone in India. It's great.
Yeah, actually, this shows that, for instance, this storage container which is made from bamboo, it's same in India also. Only the sizes are different. The meshing techniques is different, but bamboo is very sustainable for use, daily use purpose, and the furnitures made from bamboo, cane furnitures, they are highly expensive. They are highly expensive.
Yeah. So it's been really great. Does anyone have any questions or comments? We still have some time. I'll stop the presentation here.
I like it. These pictures, they are very interesting. And despite the geographical distance between Brazil and India, there are striking similarities in this traditional agricultural practice. This is awesome. Both regions have developed methods that are rooted in a profound respect for the land and understanding of natural cycles. The tools and techniques used in both places are simple and fantastic, yet they reflect a deep wisdom and commitment to quality. Okay, and this practice reminds us that there is a universal heritage in agriculture, one that values simplicity and quality over the more recent trends of industrialization and genetic modification. The traditional methods used by farmers in both Brazil and India and Sierra to also highlight how ancient wisdom and sustainable practice can lead to high quality food and healthy relationship with the land.
Indeed.
And this lesson, it's very important. These pictures, all of these things that uh, is important. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Sneha, we have a second question from Marcelo
Okay.
in the chat. He says, I would like to know if the Indian government encourages agriculture with public policies, especially for traditional and organic agriculture. Are there any programs for family farming? And can you talk about
Yeah,
any
yeah.
programs
Our
for
government,
agriculture?
yeah. The very first national agricultural policy, it was announced in July 2000. So, like you can see that we have been working from past 24 years into this, and basically the overall food grain production, this comes under this agricultural policy. Why this policy was made? It was for the widespread area farmers also, and the need was to connect them with the local market, because most of the farmers, they doesn't get that opportunity to sell their harvest into the major markets. They just go and sell into their local market, and they don't get that much livelihood. They don't get so much wages for their amount of production. So Indian government is working through this policy. Indian government is trying to connect these farmers and help them out, so that they can good sum of money for their hard work and their production also, and that production can be easily supplied to the urban areas also. And these farmers must get maximum benefit. Whatever quality seeds they need, they can come and purchase from the good market. They can get updated, they can get connected with the more and more people, so that they can widespread their practices also, they can have good quality of seeds also, and they can expand their area of farming. uh, in this policy, even the farmers are being trained also how to use the new technology, the new techniques, to grow more and more crops, better crops, organic crops, in a widespread range. So government is majorly focusing on agriculture, and this year in the year budget also, agriculture have a very vast area of segment in which government is parallelly working. Government is even trying to try find ways also to how to help their families. Some monthly income is being transferred through some policies. So government is parallelly connected, and they are working.
All right. And another question from Isaac on the chat. What is the quality of life our farmers like in terms of access to health education and technology. I think he means in India.
Yeah, earlier it was not that good because the major problem was connectivity issue, but now it's better. Now it's better. The farmers, they, and there's a good amount of connectivity also through roads, through rails, and people can travel. Even the health sector is being set up in different villages. Regular health checkups, regular health camps are being set up, whatever the village. If the village is in very core area, then doctors do visit on a interval basis. And if it's little advanced, then there's a proper hospital, not a very big hospital, but for the basic treatments hospitals are there. Schools are, government schools are widely there now. I don't think any village can say in India like their kid doesn't study. Every there is maybe there is a primary school in some villages, but education system has advanced. Every kid is getting education. And in regard with the technology, because technology is something very advanced, so I can't tell on a whole ground that every technology has been reached to the farmers, but whatever basic technology they used to need, like phones are available now, television is available, media is available to them, so then they can be updated, they can connect. Even the transport facility is there now. Earlier they used to travel days and days. Now bus, daily transport is there, bus is there, trains are being connected in some of the remote areas. The tracks are being made so that they can travel easily, whether it is for their farming purpose, whether they are going for their job purpose. So now India is trying to connect all through various circuits. India is trying to connect all the remote areas.
All right. And with a lot of success, I would say. I mean, mobility is certainly better in India than in Brazil. For example, they don't have railroad lines to connect the country, which is astonishing, right?
Yeah.
And the output of agriculture here depends mostly on highways. So we have to use trucks, which pollute more, and it's a lot of issues with maintenance and this stuff. So there's a lot of we can learn with India. So do we have any other questions or comments from the audience?
And even
I have
the world. Oh, okay.
I have
Let me finish.
another uh, pardon. I have another question. Teacher, why does agriculture contribute a smaller percentage to India's GDP today? I am asking this you because in the past, agriculture was the backbone of India's economy, employing the majority of the population and being the primary source in income. However, the economy landscape has shifted significantly over the years. Then I like to know, why does agriculture contribute a smaller percentage to India's GDP today?
Okay, see, why agriculture is more, I think your question is why it's more helping in the GDP of India.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to know how this GDP changed.
Okay, like if we say that agriculture provides employment opportunities to rural and non-agricultural laborers also. It basically it plays a very significant role in international trade and import and export activities. So agriculture, earlier it was backbone and still it's the backbone, because we the main focus is survival, and food is important. Not just the crops, not just the cereals, not just the fruits. Spices market is very, it's growing vastly. So like Indian population is basically engaged in agriculture and raw material for the industrial sector also. like food processing company is there, textile industry is there, and it all comes from agricultural sector. That's why agriculture is called the backbone of our Indian economy.